ReefDudes is sponsored by Ecotech Marine and Bulk Reef Supply.
Copperband Butterflies and battling with algae, time for an update on the Nyos Opus 440. What's going on, guys? Devin from ReefDudes. So over the last few weeks has been a bit of chaos with the tank. It magically got overrun with hair algae for a bit there. I picked up a brand new Copperband Butterfly, added some new corals, and now dealing with some Cyano. So we're back into a bit of the uglies. Kind of a bit of a sledgehammer approach to fight it, so let's get to it. First and foremost, I did pick up one of my favorite fish, which is a Copperband Butterfly. And he's been in the tank for about 3 or 4 days now. Now I lucked out pretty well as he was eating PE mysis from pretty much the beginning, which really helped make it an easier transition. Now when I first did add him to the tank, the yellow tang was definitely being a little bit of a jerk to him. So he has been kind of keeping over more to the right of the tank. And oddly, the Melanaris wrasse has been a little bit of a punk as well. So I'm kind of hoping, everyone's starting to settle in. The yellow tang seems to be not too bad the last day or two, so I'm hoping they're okay now. That being said, he does still hang over to this kind of side of the tank. So he's kind of keeping his distance. But he could be fattened up a little bit, but just the fact that he was eating mysis from, day one was a really awesome sign. Now I did do a little bit to kind of like chase the yellow tang away at first with just like a little stick, and it kind of worked to help him settle in. Now the other big thing that I was battling with in the tank recently was hair algae. I don't know what happened, but if you look at a couple days ago in the tank, half of these rocks were absolutely just covered in hair algae, and I don't know where the heck it came from. I'm not sure what caused it. Nutrients, nothing is crazy out of check. So I did take the sledgehammer approach here, which I did do a double dose of fluconazole. And in my case, I did use Reflux, so I will throw a link to this one. And I did it at a double dose. And I did that probably 4 or 5 days ago. And if you look back then, it was tons of hair algae all over the rocks. If you look now, you can almost barely see any. And the bits that you do see has been pretty much turning white and dying off. So it's very, very light gray now. So it absolutely did work. And it is really aimed at bryopsis, but it does work for hair algae as well. Now, if it's a few spots, I wouldn't have used it, but it was almost every rock in here, so I decided to kind of pull the big guns for that one. So it really is kind of a nice, easy approach. Usually within about 10 days to 14 days after doing double dose, you will see it start to die off. Now, the only one other pest I do have in here is a bit of cyano. I could use ChemiClean for that, and it may happen eventually, but I'm trying something else first. So I've actually just started doing this today with the little 3D reefing UV sand bed sweeper. I'm trying that on the cyano to see if it will kill it off. I'm a bit curious to see if it'll be a bit of a natural. I did it about 2 days ago, and I just did another round today. And yeah, we'll see. I'll let you guys know probably in the next update, but I'm gonna try it over the next week or so and see if that alone will kill the cyano or not. And if not, there's a chance that I might just do ChemiClean at the end. Either way, just because I plan on doing one in about a week, once I've kind of let the fluconazole do its full treatment in the tank, just for good measure to kind of clean things up again. Coral wise, my original Hellfire Millie bit the dust. That guy is completely white now. Not quite sure what happened with that one. Now, that being said, the same chunk that I fragged on my big tank broke off, and that one, it's not dead, but it was paled and wasn't looking as happy, so it might be something with the coral itself. The ones I got from Adam, those guys are all looking pretty good so far, except that one just fell off. I'm just gonna glue that guy back on. But the rest of them are still looking pretty good. So far, so good. So that might mean, maybe in a couple weeks I will add another round of frags to the tank. Aside from that, I did use a couple of the diffusers on here as kind of a light shade. So these are normally what you have the diffuser on there. And I don't have the diffuser in there, but they do fit and work perfectly as like a little bit of a light shade. I just did that, so if I'm sitting at my desk, I can't see the LEDs and just see the glow for it. So that worked really well for just like a little quick, simple fix on that. We have the Avast auto feeder. So now that I've had this for a couple months, this thing is still pretty awesome. Super happy with it. I did add the little cannonball cover that just keeps light and prevents any algae where it feeds. Aside from that, yeah, this thing's a champ and it's a super cool design. I think next on my list, I am going to get a top for the tank, just to make sure no fishies jump out. Next on the list, I think for fish, I might add a ruby red, kind of a scooter bunny. I am still letting the tank mature a little bit more, make sure that a bit of pods build up before I add them. But aside from that, if we look at the back wall, there is a lovely little layer of algae on there. I'm curious to see if that dies off with the fluconazole or not, but may give that a scrape one of these days. But otherwise, we'll see what the fish do with it. I definitely do see a lot of the snails on the back wall, and same with my tuxedo urchin. Now if we take a look under the hood, back up there, you can see I did add an ozone generator. So I do have this running on low for an hour or two a night, just to help with a bit of water clarity. I did obviously turn it off just for the moment because we're doing the treatment with the fluconazole, but that'll be back on afterwards just so it doesn't break that down. When I did treat the fluconazole, I did leave the skimmer off for the first couple days. I was seeing the pH tank a little bit, so it did make me turn it back on, but the first couple days, skimmer was off, and probably about day 3, I turned it back on. Same thing, the UV and the ozone are also off during that period of treating with fluconazole. But my little DIY UV we did a couple weeks ago in a video has been working very well. The other thing I'll say while doing the fluconazole treatment, these mesh socks definitely fill up pretty quickly, so you got to kind of keep up on them. Now because I actually have to raise my desk in order to open the doors, I did add a little camera in here, so it kind of watches my skimmer and stuff, and I could just take a quick peek and check on things and know I have to maintain it. And ironically enough, I ended up putting child locks on the water box tank, and I did a similar thing on that one. So I have a little camera in there so I can just check the skimmer without having to find the magnets to open it and all that jazz. Now aside from dealing with the uglies, the tanks come along pretty nicely. Now it's always one of those battles, always the hard part when you're starting a newish tank, and and you have these waves of certain things in the tank, like algae and cyanos, slightly depressing, but at the end of the day, most of them are very easy to beat. I know hair algae really is one that a lot of people struggle with. So again, using something like the fluconazole, I mean, it shouldn't be your first approach, but if it's everywhere, manually move what you can, and then you can kind of use that as a sledgehammer approach to deal with it. Now, if you have just a few small patches for that, I just use hydrogen peroxide like a syringe and to turn off your flow and just spot treat. That works really well. But again, that's a little more work when you have it everywhere in a full tank. All right, guys, hopefully you enjoyed this. Hopefully you learned something. As always, if you did, be sure that like button if you're new, make sure you subscribe. I'll catch you guys on the next update.